welcome to a clinic that Coach Burrell is nice enough to come on and do. Coach is the head football coach at the American Leadership Academy there in Utah. Coach and I are going to talk real briefly, and then Coach is going to get into his presentation. You can check out the tags below if you want to skip directly to the presentation or listen to kind of our little preamble beforehand. Burrell, Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. How's everything going?
We're good. Excited, hunkering down in the winter snow, and the mountains are turning white and ready to talk ball.
Well, that's good because, like, again, we talked a little bit before. Like, we really haven't seen snow yet, and it makes me sad. So, like, if it's gonna be cold, I at least want some snow. Even though I mentioned earlier that it's not getting 60 today randomly, but is what it is. I mean, how did you end up as the head football coach at the American Leadership Academy?
Yeah, it's kind of a long story that I'll keep short, but I've just always wanted to be a football coach my whole life. That there was never any backup plan. There was never a question of that, and um, what that looked like has changed a couple of times. I was a GA at SUU, down in Cedar City for a couple of years. Then I went out to Dakota Wesleyan University and I coached up the passing game out there and called plays there, and um, decided kind of take a step back and chill out a little bit and coach high school football. And so we moved back to Utah, and um, I bounced around a little bit just as an assistant or a coordinator and a head coach and that kind of thing. And ALA was a good fit. And so I've been here for a couple of years now trying to rebuild this program and get this thing going. So it's been fun.
Good, and I mean, we've talked periodically over the past year or so about variety of things. And like I said, you guys do a good job, and um, especially for small school Utah ball, like I said. But like I mean, and that's one thing we're going to talk about today. Like again, like when we were talking, setting this up, like again, you think a lot of what you guys do in the off season does a really good job at developing your kids. Do you want to kind of talk about that, kind of how you lay out um, your off season? Because like again, I think a lot of school. I mean, you hear a lot of times when people do clinics or podcasts, like, oh, we got a bunch of one way guys, or we got 120 kids on our roster. Whereas again, most schools I've been at, we've not had that luxury, and obviously you guys don't either. So kind of how do you set up your off season?
Yeah. So, you know, a big thing for us when we look at our off season is we we don't ever worry about what we don't have as far as players and numbers and that kind of thing. Like whatever we're doing, we're gonna do it as big time as we can. And we're gonna coach the guys that show up and the guys that we do have. And I have a bunch of examples of that I'll show you, but um kind of our off season, what it'll look like is from about November till March, we aren't doing anything for football with the kids, which is a little bit later of a start than what most people will do. Most people will get back from winter break and they'll get going. But being a small school, a lot of our guys are playing basketball or they're wrestling or they're doing other sports, and we really want our guys to do that. We push our guys to do as many other sports as we can get them to do. Um, and so because of that, we kind of try to wait till basketball and wrestling ends usually before we really ramp things up. And we'll still miss some guys in the spring with track and baseball and that kind of thing. But for the most part, we work around those and kind of get everybody there. But we do take a longer break. So they're off from the end of the season till about March. And then when we get back, we'll do about 6 to 8 weeks where we'll just lift every morning before school. And we lift a lot. It's been a huge part of our program. It's been a huge part of our philosophy is just one, how much time we're in that weight room together and spending with each other and pushing each other, and two, getting these kids stronger and bigger and more explosive and that kind of thing. It's been a huge equalizer for our team because our numbers are lower than everyone we play, and I would argue that our kids are usually smaller than everyone we play. But I would also take anyone that we play against this year and put them in the weight room against our guys and feel pretty good about it. And so we'll lift as a team 6 to 8 weeks or so, depending on the calendar. And then we get into spring ball. And spring ball, I think, is probably the best thing we do as a program in the off season. I'll go into a bunch of detail with you today. Most of what I have prepared is about our spring ball and how we do it. I don't think it's necessarily an anomaly anymore for high schools to do spring balls. I think pretty much everybody's doing something or some way of working in the spring with your kids. I think we do a really great job of it. After spring ball, we give them a little bit of time off just because school's over, just a couple weeks or so, school ends. And then we get right into our summer stuff. We'll throw sevens, we lift, we practice, just like everybody does in the summer, nothing special. We'll go to camp in the summertime. And then we'll do the dang thing, and we'll go play the season and kind of start it all over again. So that's kind of our general off season layout. Um, it it's a lot, and at such a small school with so few kids, I think the breaks that we've built into it and the starting a little bit later is absolutely critical to the not burning out. When you spend too much time around everybody, it isn't helpful either. So it's been good for us.
Just for viewers, on average, how many kids do you have on your roster in a given year?
Mm, a 29 maybe.
Okay.
Not quite 30. If everybody was healthy this year, if everybody was eligible, healthy, good to go, locked in, we're here, we would have been up to like 34. And that was never the case. We never we never had
Oh,
34. So we usually account for about 29 or so.
when I was at Bradford, we had 30 on the roster. I mean, most weeks it's about 25 is what you're looking at because there's always the one kid that's always hurt, like conveniently chronically injured. Yep. And then you have your actual injuries or something else going on, and that hinders some things. And um, that's why I always say, like at our smallest level, which is what we call D7, 30 is the magic number to be competitive to me. Because if you have 30, you usually always have 22 healthy for practice,
Right.
and you're usually dressing 22 to 27 for a game on average, unless you have a weird injury year.
Right.
And that way you can be competitive with that when you're playing our schools your same size. So yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully our numbers go up this year. I think they will. We've got a pretty decent sized incoming freshman class. And so we can jump up to hopefully between 40 and 45. But really 30 is kind of right where we're hanging out the
Now
last.
when how much involvement, or especially in your off season, how much you start pulling in those eighth graders in March? Because again when you're small school ball, I've been there, like that's you can't afford to lose any of those kids, because you lose two or three of those kids, and you talking, you might be you're getting under that 29 mark, and it's like, ooh.
Right.
So
For us, it's a little bit different because we're a K-12 charter. We're a public charter. We're not private. We don't recruit or anything like that. But we're considered a school of choice. And within 10 miles of us, there's five 4A, 5A high schools. And so for us, getting those eighth graders involved is huge because that's where you lose kids. You'll have kids at ALA from kindergarten till eighth grade. And then when high school starts, they suddenly want to go over to one of these bigger schools or these other schools around here, and they have options and opportunities to do that. And so in spring, a lot of that looks like guys helping with water. The junior high coaches will throw a little bit and kind of get kids running and stuff, but we can't do much with them until school gets out. When school gets out, last year we lifted the eighth graders, me and my coaches, we separately on their own, we lifted that eighth grade team 3 times a week. And they also had their own practices and that kind of thing too. And so we definitely try to get them around and keep them around. We did a game day visit this year that was similar to how a college would run a game day visit with all those kids. We're pretty interactive with those eighth grade teams and those eighth grade kids, but for spring ball, not so much. But in the off season, we really try to keep them around.
yeah. That I mean, before we get to what you want to show, like what I mean, 'cause each state has its different restrictions. Like we've gotten less restrictions over the past couple years. Like we can do off season 7-on-7s now, where we had to wait. Used to have to wait till June, but we can pretty much start them in now if we wanted to. Um, Spring ball, I mean, quote unquote, we don't have a true spring ball, but we got 3 days in May now, where we used to not be able to do anything till June. What are your kind of restrictions and in terms of like spring ball development?
Yeah, so we can do 7-on-7s, competitive unpadded 7-on-7s and stuff with other schools once we get back from Christmas break. Most teams won't this early, but they'll kind of, as the spring gets going, start doing that kind of thing. But we can't be in pads until summer. I mean, where everything's unpadded until, if you camp in June, you got to do a 14-day acclimation before camp. And then you can be in that, and then you got to get back out. And then when the season starts back up in August, then you have to reacclimate and go then, or you can camp in July and just stay in pads all the way through. And teams will do both. There's pros and cons to both, but until you acclimate for camp, you're not in pads, you're not in helmets, you're not in anything. So it's unpadded. And we can do 7-on-7s and that kind of thing, but we can't like play football for real.
Okay.
And really kind of what I wanted to talk about and what I think is one of the best things that we do as a program is just is our spring ball stuff. And so really what we're going to kind of go about it is why do we do it and what are we trying to accomplish with it? What exactly is it and how do we structure it and that kind of stuff. And so I mean it's nothing crazy, but it works for us. And when we got to ALA, we were inheriting a program that had won one game in 3 years. Their average score of their games was 65-3. And it was pretty tough. There weren't a whole lot of things going right with the program when we got there. And spring ball was kind of that first hoorah that we really did when we got things going. We had lifted some and we'd thrown with the kids a little bit, but spring ball was really our kids' first taste of what the new program was going to be like. It was their first chance to be around our whole coaching staff and everybody was there and that kind of thing. And for us, when we started it, we really just needed to evaluate our kids. We didn't know what we had or what the strengths or weaknesses of our team were going to be. It was so hard to tell on film because it was just such a non-competitive situation. And so we didn't know who could do what for us. And so we needed to evaluate. A huge part of it, and this is, some people don't like this, but it is the case in our situation, is we wanted the kids who were going to quit to quit. We didn't have the luxury of sitting around and waiting and seeing who was going to buy into our program and who wasn't going to buy in and who was going to be around. If you weren't going to make it, we wanted to know. And we wanted you to know. We didn't want to waste the kids' time either. A big one was that we just really wanted to change perception of football in our school and with our team. And I'm going to show you a bunch of ways we do this, but something we talk about all the time is make the big time where you are. And so if you look at our socials or if you look at the videos that we put out or the structure of our spring ball or anything like that, you would never know that we've got like 27 kids running around out there in shorts. Like we try to make it big time and make it fun and make it something that people want to be a part of and kind of not make football so miserable. And that was something that spring ball really helped us with. And in all reality, the last part of it was we needed all the help we could get. We needed every second of working with these kids that we could have. And so when we first started and we said this is what we are going to do, this is kind of why we said we were going to do it. What we're really trying to accomplish with our spring ball every year, and this hasn't changed. We sat down as a staff and we looked at it and said, okay, those were the goals, those were the reasons for doing it, but what are we really trying to accomplish? These haven't changed in the last couple of years, and we're really just trying to build a foundation of fundamental. I mean, so many of our kids had either played very little football or no football before we had got our hands on them. And now, a couple of years later, they've played with us for a few years. And so that's a little bit better. But we really look at our season as starting with spring ball. This is the first thing of the new football season that we do. And so a big part of that is just the fundamentals and the techniques and the understanding of the basic stuff that we do. It starts with spring ball. We really try to create a standard for accountability, and we'll talk about that one quite a bit, about figuring out ways to make it work, not looking for excuses to miss. We want to learn how to practice so that the first day when we show up in pads in the summer for football, we kind of know what's going on. It's not just a cluster. And then really just compete. We always say that all the time. And so that's what we try to accomplish with our spring ball, our format and our outline and everything we do kind of it fits these four things in some way, shape, or form. And if it doesn't, then we don't do it. When we sat down with the kids and we had a meeting and we asked them what or we told them what we were going to expect out of them. This is what we expect from our kids. And this is huge. And we share this with anybody who is looking at coming out and playing football. And spring football has been a huge tool for us in recruiting kids in our own school. Our numbers aren't great, but we've gotten more athletic and we've gotten more talented kids coming out every year because of spring ball has been so good for us. Hey, I know you haven't played football before. Come try it for 2 weeks. Give us 2 weeks. And if you want to quit after that, you can quit after that. Or if you might not want to play football, you might want to play football. You don't know yet. You're trying to figure it out. Spring ball is the perfect chance to come try it. And that took a lot of pressure off a lot of kids. But one thing we do ask is if you start spring ball, nobody quits. You have to give us the full 2 weeks because some of the best stuff and the most fun stuff that we do that the kids enjoy is at the end of the 2 weeks. And so if you're going to get the full experience of what it's like to be in our program, you can't quit. And that's something we really stick those kids to is if you start, you finish it. If you want to quit after that, quit after that. That's fine. We ask them to learn as much as they can, be better when we're done than when we started, and be great teammates. And so that's kind of, I'll pause here for a second, but really that's why we decided to do it. That's what we're trying to accomplish with it. That's the purpose for it. And I think it's different for every school. Like we've talked about, everything is so different depending on where you're at. But for us, this is what we were able to do. And I don't really subscribe to like, oh, we're a small school, so we're not gonna do that. Or oh, we're gonna act like we're a big time football program. And what do big time football programs do? They have spring balls. What are we gonna do? We're gonna have spring ball. And so we try to do it that way. So for us, when we talk about what it actually is, what are we really doing here? I've kind of put it into these 5 things that are going to happen. We always start with the parent meeting. And because like I said, this is the first thing we do every football season. From this point on, we're in football season to our kids. And there's busier times and there's different times and different things. But for us, this is where everything starts. And so we'll have parent meeting. We'll get everybody the calendars for the year. This is where we get the group chats going. This is everybody knows from here on out, this is the expectation because this is really where we try to make it start for us. After that, we'll go 9 days, usually 8 to 10, somewhere in there, depending on the calendar of just practice days. And I've got that all put together, but those days are hard. We really push these kids physically, emotionally, and mentally. We throw a lot at these kids. We'll do a lot of social media stuff in this time. Again, this is a huge recruiting tool for us. And so our Instagram is really, really active at this time. We'll do post-practice interviews. We'll interview the kids. We'll interview coaches. We'll put highlight reels together. Our Instagram is really, really popping off at this time of year. And that's a big tool for us. People get excited about spring ball for us. And then we finish it with the draft and our fundraiser, and then we get into our spring game stuff. And really, I think that's a lot of fun. I think that's probably the most fun we have all year is those last couple of things, and we'll touch on that. But this is when I say spring ball, why do spring ball? This is kind of what I'm talking about, and this is what we do. This is kind of the layout that we have gone with the last couple of years. It's nothing special. But like I said, this is kind of just what we pumped out for it on our socials and what we told the kids to plan on being a part of and that kind of thing. When we get to the parent meeting, like I said, this is just kind of everything. I don't need to read everything off a PowerPoint. I hate when people do that, but really the main things is just convince suspective parents to let their kids try it. We talk to so many kids. My mom won't let me play football. My mom doesn't want me to. Hey, well, how about this? Why don't you come out for 2 weeks? We're not going to tackle. We're not going to hit you. There's no pads. You're not going to get hurt. And why don't you come out and give it a try for 2 weeks and let's see how you feel about it. Let's see how comfortable you are. Maybe you haven't played before, and that's a big hesitation. And so, well, I don't know if they'll let me. Hey, why don't they come out to our parent meeting? And that's huge for us. This meeting is giant for convincing people to do that. And then just being on the same page and everything. And then this last part right here is we tell the parents the truth about what we're about to do with their kids. These kids are going to be pushed incredibly hard. It's going to be really, really, really difficult. And it's going to be difficult physically, mentally, emotionally. We are going to put your kids through some hard stuff. So when they come home and say, Coach did this and Coach did that, yes, yes, we did. Coach did. They are not lying to you. Yes. But this is why we're doing it this way. This is what we're trying to accomplish. And just kind of those little disclaimers have gone a long way for parents in our program. We talked to him about this. Why 2 weeks? Why? And I touched on it a little bit, and it's just because we show them this graphic right here, and it's very simple. It's the more time you put into something, the more fun you're going to have in spring ball. Not only are the more fun, exciting events and that kind of stuff at the end of it, but also like right here in the middle, like oops, when everybody shows up and it's day one and you have no clue what's going on, it's not very fun when you're confused and you're stressed and you're worried and everything's happening around you, but you also haven't been there that long. But the more comfortable you get with it, the more you start to learn, the more maybe you make a play one day and that really brings your whole day up. It's not just because the fun stuff's at the end. You start to enjoy football a little bit more. And for us, when football was such a negative thing, when we got here, that was critical. We had to get kids to be excited about football. And so if you quit 2 days into it, your only experience with this is, well, coaches yelled at me and it was crazy and this and that. Like, that's not going to work. But if you ride it out and you're on day 10, day 12, and now we're doing a lot of stuff and you're flying around and making plays and having fun, hey, coaches got after me a little bit, but I made a play and I grew from that. You're not going to get the full football experience with us if you don't stick it out for 2 weeks. And so that's kind of what we sell to them at that meeting. And then we'll come back to this, but we kind of pump what our fundraiser and our draft is going to be. And so now what I want to kind of show you, and maybe this is a good time for you to ask some of those questions. I just have a lot of our meetings and film, and we'll kind of go through our day to day of spring ball and how we structure and what we go through and do every day and that kind of thing. But before I get to that, I think it's a good spot to
Now with your 2 weeks of practice,
yeah.
again you mentioned fun and all there. Is it how much of you how much are you balancing fundamentals versus playbook? Because
Yeah.
again, I mean, again, we kind of talked initially like you're K through 12. You might get some new kids, you might lose kids. So obviously, and kids that may never play football. So obviously, you're developing skills, especially at small school ball. That really matters. But again, part of spring ball is also see where your scheme's at and seeing where your install's at, and see going into the fall, what do I need to cut or add, or what can we do, what can we not do?
Yeah. So what we'll do is we've gone in and offensively and defensively, we'll go in and we'll make these installs. And they're very short. There's not a lot in these things. They're pretty simple. And a lot of what we put into our spring ball install is the base groundwork stuff for everything that we build off of. And so like we'll go in and we might say, okay, in this first install, we've got 5 formations. All right, well, are we going to run more than 5 formations this year? Yeah, we are. Like, and at some point, we're going to teach those to you and that kind of thing. But really, if you can understand how we signal, how we line up, what your position is, what kind of formations these 5 things are, if you guys can understand why we're lining up and doing the things we are, it's going to be really easy for you to learn more of these down the road. And if you understand kind of our process and our philosophy behind our formations, that's going to be easier for us to add to. So we don't try to throw everything at them when we build these. but we kind of put just the bare bones of the bare bones of our offense in them. And for some kids they can handle it and they can handle a little bit more, and for some kids this is a lot. And so it's kind of a healthy balance of both, I would say. But
Okay.
I mean, this is that first one, and like these first 5 slides of this install are literally just formations. We look at a run play, literally just one perimeter screens.
Yeah, because again, that's just my curiosity is like, what's the balance level? Because obviously, you don't need to get everything in spring, and you want to develop skills and see where kids fit. But at the same time, you do want to see how certain stuff maybe. And I know some coaches do some of their like, we know this is going to work, so some of this iffy
Yeah,
stuff we're going to test. We're going to test it during spring. Everybody's got a different philosophy on spring ball and how they approach
yeah.
it. And I don't again, kind of like we talked earlier. There's no right
We
or wrong answer on how you do certain things.
No, we definitely do that too. We definitely will throw some stuff in where it's like we call it failing early. If we're gonna fail or if something's not gonna work or if it's not gonna be good for us, we want to know in spring ball if we can. And so yeah, we put the bare bones of stuff in there. And honestly, a big part of that too is like, hey, this is what we're expecting it to look like. This is what we think it's going to be. This is the basics of what we think we're going to have. But if we get in there and we're terrible at all of it, and in spring ball, guess what? You're going to be bad at everything. No one's great in spring. If you were, we would play in the spring. But um, we'll definitely try some stuff, and we scrap some stuff after the spring every year too. And hey, that was a good idea on paper, but it didn't look good, and it's not going to fit, or it didn't work how we thought. And so we do that quite a bit also.
Yeah, I do
Um,
silent
yeah.
auction when you get to it too, because one, I love a good silent auction, but two, also just I'm always interested in fundraisers. So, but like I said, continue what you're doing, then we'll come back to that.
So day one of spring ball, when they come in, we will meet with everybody, and we'll kind of just go through our whole thing at ALA is effort, attitude, toughness. We talk about eat all the time. And so what we tried to do is we laid it out what effort, attitude, and toughness for spring ball specifically would look like, and what they're about to be asked to do, and we tell them, kind of lay it all out for them. And we try to do like these graphics. I just make them all on PowerPoint. It's not anything special. It's not cool. I do the same thing over and over again. But when we sit down in this meeting with our kids and they see these graphics and it's guys that are in the room who have made plays, like it's exciting. It's fun. It feels like football again. It feels like people are getting excited for stuff and kids want to see that. So we just go through this kind of PowerPoint and talk about it. We go through some team mantras and kind of set a standard for the entire season. This meeting is huge because this is the first meeting of the first thing that we do all year. Everything we do is uphill from here. And so we'll go through, all that stuff. And we have so many new kids trying it out that we want them to kind of understand and get to know these guys and see what our culture is like and talk about different things. And so we do that. And then we get to this. And this is where everybody in the room kind of clenches up. All the players see blue team and red team, and the guys that know, they start sweating a little bit. And the guys that don't know can tell that there's something that's different in the room when we get to blue team and red team. And really, I think this is probably the thing that makes spring ball the most advantageous for us. What what we'll do is we can't put equipment on our guys. We're not allowed to put pads or helmets on them. Like we said, it's unpadded, but we do put jerseys on them, and we want that to be it's just a practice jersey, but we want it to be different. This isn't just an off-season workout. This is spring ball. This is different. And when we do it, we have blue jerseys and we have red jerseys. And what you want is you want to be on that team wearing blue jerseys. And for us, with 27 kids, 26 kids, or whatever it was, like you don't really have varsity and sub varsity kids. We're one program right now. And so it's not, the older guys and the younger guys. That's not how we split it up. It's the guys who are doing the best at their job right now are going to be on the blue team. And the guys that have something to work towards or who aren't doing as well are going to be on the red team. And when we start, we base it off of winter workouts. So if you're a freshman that knows nothing about what we're doing in football and that kind of thing, but you showed up every day in that 6 to 8 week workout that we talked about, you're going to start on the blue team. You're going to give yourself an opportunity. And if you're a senior who's played for us every year, but you missed every one of those workouts, you're going to start out on the red team. It's not a like a hierarchy of age. It's definitely about what you earn. We will film everything. We film practices, we film stretches, we film lifts, we film meetings, we film everything during spring ball. And everything counts towards these kids. At the end of each day, our coaching staff will sit down and we'll watch that film together. We'll meet. Spring ball is also a really good time for me to figure out which of my assistants are really about it and who's not, because it's 2 weeks. I'm asking for 2 weeks of your time. I'm asking for 2 weeks of commitment, 2 weeks of everything. I give it to them early. They know when spring ball is, so they get work scheduled and stuff. But it's long nights. I mean, we're there till 11 o'clock midnight at times during spring ball because everything gets filmed and we watch that film and we make decisions on our roster. And guys who had really great days or do something awesome, who are playing well and doing what we ask them to do, they're going to show up at that meeting tomorrow and they're going to get a blue jersey. And if somebody's coming up, then that means somebody's got to go down. And if somebody's not making plays, they're going to get put in red that day. And the goal is to be on the blue team. And everybody knows there's no hiding from it. There's no, oh, well, I would have made the play. No, 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 no. Are you in red or are you in blue? Are you the guy getting it done for us or are you not? And it's pretty competitive. It's hard. Our guys really care about it. They know that it could come down to one rep. Everything they might fall asleep in a meeting, they're going to be in red the next day. They're, they could have been blue all year long, but everything is filmed. And it's not up to coaches' opinions or thoughts. It's based on what you do. And so that's kind of how we, fluctuate these things. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more. And this is what our first week of spring ball kind of looks like for us. So we come in on day one and we do this check-in. We get our team meeting going, and then we'll have an offensive or a defensive install meeting. It's only 35 minutes. It's not super long. And then we will have a short practice, and then you can see staff meets, and then we watch all the film. On Tuesday, we'll do a very similar thing. We don't have to height and weight them. We don't have to get all their contact info or anything like that. So we start our team meeting. And here what we'll do is we'll take all the kids in blue and we'll say, okay, blue team, you're having an offensive install meeting today. Red team, you're on a defensive install meeting. On Tuesday, it will be the same content. It will be all the same stuff that's taught, but we'll flip it. The red team will be on offense. The blue team will go to that defense meeting. And on these days, because we have these meetings, our practices are shorter. And I'll show you our practice plan and structure, but you're only practicing what you installed that day. So if you're on the blue team on Monday, our practice was all offense and the red team was on defense. On Tuesday, that's switched. When you get to Wednesday, we don't have install meetings anymore. We just go out and practice. Practice is longer, and we actually swap it. So that first hour, the blue team would be on offense and the red team would be on defense. And then we'll flip it and we'll do the exact same practice, same amount of reps, same periods, same coaching points, same everything. But now the red group is on offense, the blue group is on defense. And again, it all gets filmed, and we kind of stick with that throughout that whole first week. So this is what that first practice would look like. As you can see, the blue team is on offense the whole time, and there's very little crossover in these first 2 days. This is stance, this is start, this is formation, this is bare bones basic stuff. There's not a whole lot of crossover. It's almost all Indian group stuff. We will do like a little 10-minute half line just to do something or see who's going to make a play in that first 2 days. On the second day, this would just be flipped. The red team would be on offense so that everybody has the same opportunities to make all the same plays. Just quick reminders and stuff like that, nothing crazy. So then we'll go out and we'll do the practice. Like I said, we film everything. We film a bunch of stuff. And then when we come back and we've watched that film, we'll come back to the kids and we'll have a meeting again and we'll just kind of recap what went well, what didn't go well. We'll give them all that direct feedback. Part of pushing our kids really hard is physically it's a lot of work and we'll work them quite a bit and pretty hard. Mentally, we throw stuff at them. If we explain a concept to you once, we expect you to know it. And we don't really expect them to know it, but we want to see who can do it, who is capable of listening to that coaching point one time and doing it, who needs it to be explained 6 times, and that's part of the eval process for us as coaches. And so mentally, we throw a lot at them. And then emotionally, with the red and blue and seeing all their friends on one team and seeing them go down on the other team. And, well, I'm better than that guy, but he got moved. I mean, it's a lot for these kids in 2 weeks. And so we'll give them some quick feedback every day. And that's really tough on them mentally and emotionally, is all that feedback that they're getting. Tuesday was kind of short, but what we'll do, the reason I wanted to pull this one up is we'll show a couple clips. We call it good ball, bad ball. We'll show guys that do it right. We want the whole team to see what it should look like. And then we'll show some stuff that's not good, but then you'll see on this film, like, it's all annotated. It's all noted up. We're giving a lot of feedback to guys, but the whole room is getting this. And I usually put together 3 or 4 clips for the offense, and our D coordinator puts together 3 or 4 clips for the defense. It's not like a whole giant long film session. It's 8 to 10 plays of what went well, what didn't go well. From these clips, you can kind of see some of the thing. Like, this is all of our skill guys. This is our entire program worth of skill guys. And so we didn't have enough to do 7-on-7. So what did we do? Well, let's do half line. Let's go compete with what we have. And so we'll show these guys that. Our inside run period, like, this is the blue group. Well, all the run guys, all the red guys who are working on defense for that day are over working on that. So what do we got to do? We got coaches with pads and guys standing around, and we're not in pads. It's not going to look perfect. It's not full speed, but we're kind of teaching the basics. Hey, we like this leverage here, but being 4 yards in the backfield doesn't work. Hey, don't turn your hips here on wide zone. Are we playing football? No, but we are coaching the very, very, very detailed, important things for our kids. So we'll go through and we'll give them all that info. And all of this happens in front of the whole team. There is no sugarcoating it. There is no pulling guys aside. If you showed up on the good clips, you're gonna get praised. If you show up on the bad clips, like, you're gonna get grilled in front of everybody. And that comes back to building that culture of accountability that we talked about, which was one of the main reasons we wanted to do this. And so that first 2 days, we don't move anyone up or down. We keep everybody on the blue team or the red team where they started, because we're only doing half a practice each day. And so everybody gets those first 2 days, same equal opportunities. And then when you get to day 3 and you come into that meeting, that's when you start to see this slide pop up. And this is exactly what it looks like. This is exactly how we do it. We've got a bucket of jerseys in blue. We got a bucket of jerseys in red at the front of the room. We flip it on and it goes quiet. The whole room. I mean, and these guys, to be honest, most of them know. Most of these guys know already going into it. Hey, I did a really good job these last couple of days. I bet I'm going up. Or hey, I kept messing the same thing up over and over again. I got in trouble at school. I did this, that, whatever. I'm going down for sure. And we make them switch jerseys right there in front of everybody, so everybody leaves the meeting knowing exactly where they stand, man. And it's good. It's hard. It's competitive. And especially at some spots where you've got some guys where, like, linebacker, we play with 3 of them. Well, if we've got 8 linebackers, 3 of them are going to be on the red team, or 3 of them are going to be on the blue team. Like, it gets competitive. These guys have something to work towards. And when you're being competitive and you're giving them something to work at that's visual like this, where everybody knows where they stand, we really get the best out of our guys, I feel like. I
Now,
feel like
question
I'm
for you on this. Do you, because again, this is part of just head coach roster management and just inventory management. I'm assuming you then collect every jersey at the end of every practice and then wash them, or do you have enough for
They
how do you do that?
so they keep them and they wash them and bring them back the next day, but we have extras and stuff. So when there is a change, we give them a new one right there and we take the old one from them. So, like I said, it's not that hard when you don't even have 30 kids to keep all the jerseys. But yeah, that's a good question. They just keep their jerseys and they wash them and bring them back. We don't collect them after every day and reissue them. If you were on blue, unless we take it from you and give you a red one, keep your blue one.
Okay.
So then day 3, because we're not splitting it in half anymore, this is what our day 3 practice plan would look like. And if you look, it's all pretty much the same stuff, except now you start to see with the red team, all right, hey, we need way more work working on our choice of routes on air. We don't need to work slant stuff until we get that choice stuff done with those younger guys because we've already given everybody those first 2 days to show what they know and what they can do. Now, as much as we do want to compete and make things fair and that kind of stuff, we do still want to develop some of the things that we need to develop. And so this is where you'll start to see like this choice period where we're teaching it is 20 minutes long with the red guys. Whereas down here, we have a 10-minute choice period still, but we're not teaching and doing routes on air. We're running our choice read drill work. And so that's where if you were in a whirlwind and you were stuck in the mud behind everybody in the first 2 days, things kind of settle down a little bit. And this is also where you start to see some guys start to make some plays because they're not so overwhelmed with everything that we're getting thrown at, or they might not have as many opportunities to screw it up. Maybe they can, when you get 5 reps and you screw it up twice, you're 3 out of 5 on the first 2 days, but you only get 3 reps. Maybe you hit on all 3 of those ones on the third day. And so you start to see some movement and you see some guys making plays and improving, but this is kind of how that practice works out. And then the other thing you'll start to see is a lot more of these purple crossover periods where now we are competing against guys and seeing who can make some plays and doing that kind of thing. This is pretty much the structure that we stick with for the rest of spring ball. We may the second week do a second install depending on where we feel like we're at with the first one and what the kids can handle and are we good at it, do they understand it. We might not be good at it yet, but do they understand it, know what they're supposed to be doing, can they handle more, let's throw a little bit more at them. But those second installs are usually pretty small. And then in this meeting, a big part of what we said this was for was to just make our program feel big time, make our program feel really cool to our kids and get them excited about it, get the people trying it out excited. These were the programs that had visited our school in the springtime. These were the D1s at least that came through ALA, which is comical. The fact that all of these schools were at ALA is hilarious. But we definitely wanted our kids to know that and to say like, look, I know that there's 5 schools and 10 miles from us that you could choose to go to, but every opportunity you want to play football, you've got it here. If you can ball, these guys will come here. They'll come get you. They'll come check you out. They'll come do this. And so we just made sure to pump that in that team meeting also. Good ball, bad ball clips. I mean, nothing is subjective. It's all just about what did you actually accomplish at practice. And so that's,
Can you go
kind of
go
how
back
it
to that clip?
goes.
Can you just go back to that clip for a second because I want to point something out to our viewers.
Yeah.
This is what I get to. If all our viewers just look in the background, like obviously there's football here, but just the mountain, you just have mountains galore. It like look at that beauty. Like if you need another reason to even remotely go to Utah or live in Utah, maybe that's why you get all these schools coming to you, coach. Because like, oh, this is like got good kids, but also like, look, I get mountains behind me while I watch practice. Like it's fine.
Well, the other thing I like to point out is in this clip, this film right here, you can see almost every single player in our entire program. So when we talk about small school, big school, this if we can do it with this, you can do it.
Yeah.
And we don't let the fact that this is what we have stop us. This is our entire program right here, and we're out here. And you would never know the way we act, the way we treat it, the way we talk about it, the way we market it. You would never know that there's none of us out there. It's competitive, it's fun, it's hard. And we enjoy it. It's been fun for us. So I'll pause it there and kind of leave this here, and whatever other thoughts or questions or things I can answer about kind of those 2 weeks, I'm happy to before we move on.
No, I kind of asked the red blue question was one of the things I was thinking of as a head coach, like how you break that up. Um, and then obviously, I mean, you kind of hit on a little bit, but when you're breaking red or blue, you are trying to keep it as even positionally as humanly possible, right?
To an extent, we do. It's not 100%. There's gonna be days where we've got more guys on blue, and that's great. And when that's the case, we always have deferred to who wants to play ball. Because you might be a blue team linebacker, and we might only have two linebackers on the red team, and we're out there running sevens, and we need somebody to go. It's really quick. Hey, who wants to play ball? And if somebody runs out there, who cares what color jersey they're wearing? Let's do it. Nobody thinks you're on the red team just because you're taking that rep. Our guys look at that like, man, that's a guy that's excited to go play. And so we make it work. Most of the time, we've been able to keep it even enough that we don't have a whole lot of crossover. But if we do, like, yeah, man, that's part of it. Like, who wants to go play? And you know what? If the same kid is constantly running out there to take a rep, what's that tell us? It tells us that kid's a blue type kid. Everything counts. Just seeing who wants to play ball is huge. And so, we track all that stuff, and that it's not perfect, like you said, but close. Anything else? Okay. So all of this, it leads up to, we'll do this for like 8 or 9 days, like I said. And what we'll do is throughout those 8 or 9 days, we'll be doing everything we can to be pumping this out. We want the whole school to know we're in spring ball. We want everybody to know that the football team's out here working and we're doing stuff. And so, like, I won't play these videos unless you want me to, but every day after practice, we're doing coaches' interviews on our Instagram. We're interviewing players. We're talking about, hey, who was out there making plays today? Who wasn't out there making plays today? We're interviewing multiple guys. You'll see us go. One of the things we did was we started the year, or we started spring ball interviews out with the actual little microphone. But then every time we did the interview, the microphone became a more obscure item just for the people that followed them all. So it was a pizza, then it was a Gatorade bottle, then it was an Aggie bag, then it was a freshman kid that we used here just to mix it up and make it fun. But like at the same time, like that's such an easy thing. It's such a fun thing. Do I care that nobody's going to see these? Like, no, we're going to act like everybody's going to see them. I'm acting like I'm on ESPN right now doing a post practice interview. Like, and our kids get excited. It's a good way for us to shout the kids out. Hey, who had a really good day? Get them on the mic. Hey, who deserves a shout out? Let's make sure we do. And so, like I said, our Instagram throughout this whole 9 week process, or this whole 9 day process, it's it's pretty active, and we're pumping out content and highlights and interviews with players and coaches and all that kind of stuff. And it all leads up to this, to our auction. And I know you had some questions here, and our draft. And so what we'll do is at the end of the spring ball practices, when we're all done, we split our coaching staff into two staffs. And there's some really important roles on each of these staffs. We have a head coach on each, and then we have a general manager on each. And what we'll do is we'll sit down as a staff, and we will put out the final blue and red teams. We will post that for our whole program to see. Everybody's going to know who ended spring ball on the blue team and who ended it on the red team. And really what we tell the kids is, if we had to go play a game right now, who is starting for us and who is not? Who are we really feeling good about, who is not? And so we'll split up into two coaching staffs. We'll put that final list out, and then we actually have a draft. And so our teams, we get on a Zoom call, we flip a coin to see who gets the first pick, our staff dresses up for it, and we wear suits, and we show up for the draft, and we do a whole thing, and we figure out who has the first pick and whatever. And from there, there's a little bit of a delay. There's about a 36-hour delay where our GMs are able to communicate with each other. Do we want to trade picks? Do we want to give up the first pick to pick up the third pick? And now you got two in a row. Do you want to have whatever trades our GMs want to do, they can submit. And it's really fun for our coaches. It's fun for everybody. We'll leak stuff on our Instagram where we'll say, hey, sources say that they're going to trade for this kid or whatever. And it all leads up to this night, and we'll do a draft. And so when we did it the first year, we didn't do this fundraiser, this silent auction, but this year we did, and next year I can actually tell you how we're going to improve it even more. But we did this where we went to local places and got sponsorships and had people donate stuff for our silent auction, and then all of our players show up that night. They're dressed up like it's the NFL draft. They're bringing dates. We've got pictures. We've got a red carpet. We have a giant screen I'll show you a picture of. And we treat it like it's the NFL draft, but we open it up for the whole community to come in. So everybody comes. We've got tables set up. We've got the bleachers set up. We've got music going. And on the side, we've got this silent auction going where we're making money and having people come and be a part of it. And then what we'll do is we went to 5 teachers and administrators on our campus this year. And we asked the kids, give us some names of people who have made a difference for you guys this year, some teachers you guys like, or admin that's made a difference for you. And we actually have those guys come and announce draft picks for us. And so it's a great way to get teachers involved and faculty in your school involved. And we just make a night of it, and it's super fun. It wasn't hard for me to go to these businesses and just ask for help. And we just put together a bunch of baskets and stuff like that. And we made a decent little chunk of money here. And it was a good way for us to get people to this event that we wanted them to see. Hey, we're doing a really cool thing here. And you guys don't care about the draft. You guys don't know about spring ball. You guys may not have seen any of our stuff about spring ball, but you're in the building tonight for the auction, and oh, what's that over there? And now you start to find out more about our program. And so we do this whole draft night. I make a thing like this. We put it up on a big inflatable board with the projector and that kind of thing. This logo's plastered all over the place. And then we put all the kids' names on this PowerPoint, and we make it all up. And so we made t-shirts this year with our school's logo, and then like a random X, and then my last name starts with a B, so my team had a B on it. Our other coaches an H, so they had H's. We had black shirts with white writing. They had white shirts with black writing. And we drafted the kids. And the kids come up, we give them their t-shirt. Hey, we are on our team. We picked you. You know, this kid was the 9th pick. You can see the board, and you can't see it in this picture, but the gym's full of people. There's community members, there's teachers, there's coaches, there's parents, everybody's there, and the auction's going off to the side. But one thing I didn't mention about the draft that I need to is we only draft the kids on the blue team that finished on the blue team. So if you finish spring ball on the blue team, you're eligible to be drafted, and you will be drafted. Our red team kids, they go into undrafted free agency. And so we'll draft all of the blue team, and we'll have our squads. And then the GMs for each team, we send them to classrooms, and we split the red kids up into 2 groups. One GM will take that first group, and he has 2 minutes to pitch why those kids should join our team. And then the other team is doing the same thing, and then we switch. So they have 2 minutes to pitch our team to our red group kids. And our red group can sign as free agents with whichever team they want. So if they think one of the teams drafted better, then they can do that. If they think that one of the teams is going to win, they can pick that. And there is a rule that in our spring game and in our big man challenge, everyone has to participate substantial amount of time. You can't throw a kid in there for one play. And so some free agents will be like, well, coach drafted 3 receivers. how much playing time am I going to get? I'm going to go to this team because he only drafted 2 receivers. I'm going to go over here. And so it also makes those red group kids feel really valuable. It makes them feel like we're fighting over them and we're trying to sign them. But we definitely wanted a difference between blue and red. Those kids that were on the blue team deserve to be drafted. They deserve to have their name read out loud for everybody. They deserve to be recognized as the kids that finished on the blue. But we don't want the red group kids to feel like crap either. So we did this. And it was fun. It's a lot of fun. This year, I didn't pick up very many free agents. Most of them picked Yugi's team or other coaches' team, and that's fine. There's pros and cons to it. One of the pros is you've got a lot more opportunities and talent to work with and stuff. A con is everyone has to play. So if 8 freshmen signed with you, you got to play all those freshmen. And I might have less kids who are tired, but my guys, and so it's all strategy. And our GMs, they talk to kids throughout all of spring ball. Hey, I'm going to be the GM for this team. Hey, look, this kid's made a play, but he's still on red. Hey, come on over, man. And they're pitching this team building part of it. It's fun for our coaches. It's fun for the players. It makes it makes spring ball something that they are working towards to look forward to instead of just 9 straight days of practice. Getting the teachers involved and the admin involved and the community out for that was good money wise. It was good for them to come see what we're doing, and it was awesome. It was so much fun. It was such a fun night. And we've done it a couple of years now, and this year we'll actually do some other stuff too. We'll have some concessions going and available to buy throughout the night. Um, and it's been a super fun. The draft is a blast. Like I said, you can see here, like the kids dress up. He's got his chain on. He's got his button up shirt. They all show up with dates. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. And then the next night after the draft, we'll do our spring game and we'll do our big man competition. And so we use those teams that we split up. You can see the blue shirts and the black shirts and the white shirts. Our linemen started out and we do a big man challenge. And so this is what we'll do. We'll do med ball throws, popsicle sled pushes, barrel races, tire flips, bench presses, tug of wars, and pass rush one-on-ones. And each of those events are awarded a certain number of total points that team can earn. And so the big men go compete, and this is what it looks like. And those guys, they duke it out. And the points that the big men win is what the scoreboard shows when the 7-on-7 game starts. And so you've got to draft linemen, you've got to draft skill guys, you got to draft everybody, understanding that these are what the events are going to be. And these are some pictures of our events. We'll get the bench press out, and all the skill guys come out and cheer on the big guys too. We're all there together. We'll flip tires, we'll compete, but the big men will finish, and then we warm up the skill guys and we'll play a 7-on-7. We try to treat it not like a 7-on-7 game, but we try to treat it like a real football game. But it is just 7-on-7 where we're moving the ball. We hire some college kids to come be the refs. I pay a buddy and have his boys come out and they ref it for us. And we bought a $200 belt, a wrestling championship. Both years. So the first year we did it, I won the lineman challenge and we lost the 7-on-7 game. We lost the belt on the last drive by a score. And this year, Hughie's team won the lineman challenge, and we were able to come back and win it. So I actually have the belt. It's sitting over there. But when you walk in my house, the first thing you see on the table is this belt. And our kids get excited about it, and everybody's competing for it. And it's just a really fun way to close it out. The whole community comes out. Our junior high teams, they play a flag game right before our game kicks off. So all of them are out there, and we compete and we make it fun. And we don't goof off to the point where it's like a waste. Like everything that we've been teaching and working on and installing and stuff throughout spring ball is what we're calling and running and showcasing here. And it's just a really fun way to kind of end it. We end spring ball and we give them that next week off, and usually that's the last week of school. And then we get into our summer stuff. But that's our spring ball stuff, man, and that's how we do it. And we make it work. It's a lot of fun. Um, we enjoy it. Our kids enjoy it, and I think it gets a lot done for us. And the games are stupid competitive. The games have been really competitive because it's no longer red and blue. It's we draft the best teams, and it's usually pretty even, and our guys kind of know, and that's what we do.
Coach did an awesome job with his presentation. Coach's contact information will be in the bio. Don't hesitate to give him a follow on Twitter. Reach out to him. I reached out to him last year regarding scheme stuff, but Coach will gladly help you on either or. And so just give him a follow. Reach out to him. Check out their Instagram. Give that a follow, and any other social media platforms that they're doing. Coach does a lot of good stuff, not just schematically, but also just kind of with his overall program. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff so people can find this. Thank you.